Hello everyone. Welcome to this session on osteology of upper limb. In this session, we'll be learning about the bone which is scapula. In the previous session, I had covered the bone which was clavicle. In this session, I'll be covering the scapula. Okay. What is the meaning of the word scapula? I had covered meanings of all the bones in a video. If you have seen that, then you'll be able to answer this. Meaning of the word scapula is scapus, which means body. Okay. So this is the scapula viewed from the anterior aspect. This is the right scapula viewed from the anterior aspect. In this image, we can see both the scapula. We are viewing it from the posterior aspect. This is the right scapula. This is the left scapula. Just have an overview of how the scapula looks in anatomical position. Okay. Scapula will be learning under following headings. These are the headings in which I'll be covering the bone. We'll cover what type of bone it is, then site determination of scapula, then various parts of the scapula. Attachments will cover in two headings, the muscle attachments and the ligamentous attachments. Then the various joints formed by the scapula, and lastly the applied anatomy related to it. Okay. So type of bone, which type of bone is scapula? Scapula is an example of a flat bone. Scapula is an example of a flat bone. Okay. Any bone which we learn, we should know which type of bone is it. Since the scapula is flattened throughout, it is included in flat bone. Okay. Then site determination of the scapula. Site determination, as I had covered in the previous session, it always has to be done in 3 dimensions. We should say points covering these 3 dimensions. Okay. So for scapula, which points we can say for site determination? For medial lateral, we can say that the glenoid cavity. This is the glenoid cavity of the scapula. This should be facing on the lateral aspect because it articulates with the bone which is here. The bone is the humerus. The head of the humerus articulates with the glenoid cavity of the scapula. As we all know, the head of the humerus faces medially. That's why the glenoid cavity is facing on the lateral aspect. So for medial lateral, we can say that the glenoid cavity is facing laterally. Okay. For anterior posterior and superior inferior, for these 2 dimensions, we can cover with one part of the bone. That's this. This is the coracoid process. The coracoid process is facing anteriorly, and as well as the coracoid process is present on the superior aspect of the scapula. Okay. So coracoid process is present on the superior aspect of the scapula, and it is facing anteriorly. So that's how we can justify that this is the scapula of the right side. For anterior posterior, we can also say one more point, that is this. Here we can see this is the spine of the scapula, which is on the posterior aspect. Okay. So with this point also, we can cover this dimension, anterior or posterior. Okay. Spine of the scapula is always on the posterior aspect. So that's how this is the scapula of the right side. Okay. Right-sided bone should be always be held in right hand, and left-sided bone should be held in left hand. Okay. So supposing we are holding the scapula, we'll be holding our fingers here, thumb will be somewhere here like this. We'll be holding the scapula. Scapula will be holding in the anatomical position like this. Fingers on this border, the lateral border of the scapula, and thumb along the medial border of the scapula. That's how we can hold the scapula in anatomical position. Okay. So for justifying the side, if we can justify by saying the 3 dimensions, we can definitely say that this bone is of a particular side. Okay. And as far as these images are concerned, this is the scapula of the right side. This is viewed from the anterior aspect. This scapula viewed from the posterior aspect. Let's move on to the parts of the scapula. Scapula is almost triangular, so it has got 3 borders. a superior border, a lateral border, and medial border. Okay, and three angles. Here, here there is one angle. Here there is another. Here there is another. So since it is triangular, it has got three borders and three angles. This is the superior border of the scapula. This is the lateral border of scapula. This is the medial border of the scapula. This is again the right scapula viewed from the anterior aspect. So these are the three borders: superior border, lateral border, and medial border. And angles of the scapula. This is the superior angle. This is the inferior angle. This is the lateral angle, also referred to as the glenoid angle. Okay. These are the three angles of the scapula: lateral or the glenoid angle, superior angle, and inferior angle. Okay. So three borders and three angles we have learnt. Then there are two surfaces. The anterior surface is concave or shallow. This is the anterior surface of the scapula, and this is the posterior surface or the dorsal surface of the scapula. The dorsal surface of the scapula is slightly convex, and it is interrupted by this spine of the scapula. Okay, it is interrupted by the spine of the scapula, such that the dorsal surface entirely can be divided into two parts. The part here is the supraspinous fossa, and the part here is the infraspinous fossa. Okay, the part here is the infraspinous fossa. Okay, so dorsal surface of the scapula divided by the spine of the scapula into two regions. One is the supraspinous fossa and other is the infraspinous fossa. Okay. So we have learnt three borders, three angles, and two surfaces of the scapula. Okay. And there are processes of the scapula. Processes are the projections from the scapula. This is the coracoid process of the scapula. The spine of the scapula is also referred to as the spinous process of the scapula, and the spine also extends on the lateral aspect to form a process which is referred to as the acromion process of the scapula. Okay, these are the three processes of the scapula. Okay, I'll repeat again. One is the coracoid process, which is facing anteriorly. Then there is the spine of the scapula, which is also referred to as the spinous process. And then the acromion process, which is just a lateral projection from this spinous process. Okay, these are the three processes of the scapula. Then there are two notches in the scapula. Here we can see one notch on the superior border, lateral aspect. This notch is the suprascapular notch. This is the suprascapular notch, and there is one notch between the spine of the scapula and the glenoid cavity of the scapula. That is referred to as the spinoglenoid notch. We'll see a clear image of that. Here we can see this is the spinoglenoid notch. Okay, this is the acromion process, and here is the glenoid cavity. In between them, this space which is seen, this is the spinoglenoid notch of the scapula. Okay. Then the glenoid cavity of the scapula, it has got elevations on the upper aspect as well as lower aspect. On the upper aspect, the elevation is referred to as supraglenoid tubercle, and on the lower aspect, the elevation is referred to as infraglenoid tubercle. Okay. So these are some projections on the glenoid cavity, supraglenoid tubercle and infraglenoid tubercle. Okay. So these are the various parts of the scapula. Let's move on to the attachments of the scapula. So here in this image we can see various attachments of the scapula. This is the scapula viewed from the anterior aspect. There are many muscles attached onto the scapula. First, we'll try to identify the location of various muscles, and then I'll let you a method to remember all the muscles easily. Okay. So first of all, here we can see this is the costal aspect of the scapula, costal surface. This muscle is subscapularis. Okay, this muscle is subscapularis. It is attached onto the costal surface of the scapula. This muscle is attached onto the medial border of the costal surface. This muscle is serratus anterior. Okay. Subscapularis muscle and serratus anterior muscles. These two muscles are prominently seen from the anterior aspect of the scapula. Here we can see a small muscle here. This muscle is omohyoid muscle. This muscle is omohyoid. That's the inferior belly of the omohyoid which is seen. Then the tip of the coracoid process, it has attachment to two muscles, coracobrachialis and short head of the biceps brachii. Okay, biceps brachii, short head, as well as coracobrachialis arises from the tip of the coracoid process. Here we can see one muscle, that is pectoralis minor. Okay, so there are three muscles in the coracoid process. Here this muscle is the attachment of deltoid. It's on the acromion process. So it has attachment on the spine as well as on the acromion process of the scapula. Okay, so these are the various muscles which are seen from the anterior aspect of the scapula. Now let's look at the muscles which are seen from the posterior aspect of the scapula. The posterior surface of the scapula, as we all know, it is divided into two regions, supraspinous fossa and infraspinous fossa, by a spine of the scapula. This region is called as the supraspinous fossa and this region is called as the infraspinous fossa. So the muscle here is supraspinatus, and the muscle here is infraspinatus. Okay. Along the lateral border of the scapula, this muscle here is teres minor and this muscle is teres major. Okay, and here this muscle which we can see, this is actually extension from the intraglenoid tubercle. This muscle is the long head of the triceps which arises from the intraglenoid tubercle. Okay, opposite the spine of the scapula there is a muscle which is rhomboids minor, and below the spine of the scapula the muscle is rhomboids major. Okay, then along the upper aspect here near the superior angle of the scapula, the muscle is levator scapulae. Okay, on the spine of the scapula we can see two muscles. On the upper aspect the muscle is trapezius and along the lower aspect the muscle is deltoid. Okay, so here this blue colored thing which we can see, this is trapezius, and this red colored thing which we can see, this is deltoid. Okay, so these are the various muscles seen along the posterior aspect of the scapula. Okay, then there's a small slip of muscle here. This is latissimus dorsi muscle. Then along the glenoid cavity, the supraglenoid tubercle gives attachment to a muscle, that is the long head of the biceps brachii. Okay, the long head of the triceps arises from the intraglenoid tubercle. Long head of the biceps arises from the supraglenoid tubercle. Okay, so these are the various muscles which are seen along the posterior aspect. So scapula has got many number of muscles, so at times it becomes difficult to remember all the muscles. So for that I have simplified the way to remember all the muscles of the scapula. You can just look at this. So I call it formula of 2 for muscle attachments of the scapula. What is formula of 2? Everything we can remember in numbers of 2. Okay. Along the costal surface of the scapula, there are two muscles, subscapularis and serratus anterior. So two muscles along the costal surface of the scapula are subscapularis and serratus anterior. Two muscles along the dorsal surface of the scapula are supraspinatus and infraspinatus. Two muscles along the lateral border of the scapula, these are teres minor and teres major. Okay, and two muscles along the medial border of the scapula. Opposite the spine of the scapula, the muscle is rhomboids minor, and then there is rhomboids major, which is on the lower aspect. There is one more muscle which is on the medial aspect only, but I've included it in the superior border because it has got some attachments in the superior border of the scapula as well. This muscle is levator scapulae. So ideally speaking, the medial border has got three muscles: rhomboids minor, major, and levator scapulae, which is above the spine of scapula. But it has got some attachments on the superior border as well. That's why I've included it for the sake of convenience. The superior border has got two muscles: levator scapulae and omohyoid muscle. Omohyoid, as we all know, just adjacent to the suprascapular notch. The muscle, small muscle attached is inferior belly of the omohyoid muscle. Okay. Then there are two muscles on the spine of the scapula. So here we can see this is the spine of the scapula. The muscle attached on the upper aspect is upper lip of the spine is trapezius, and lower lip of the spine is deltoid muscle. This muscle also extends onto the lateral aspect of the acromion process. Okay. So trapezius and deltoid are two muscles along the spine of the scapula. Then two muscles along the glenoid cavity of the scapula are in the supraglenoid tubercle long head of biceps, and in the infraglenoid tubercle long head of triceps brachii. Then tip of coracoid process has got two muscles. These are coracobrachialis and short head of the biceps brachii. Okay. So after covering these muscles, there are only two other muscles which are left. One muscle is in the coracoid process, that is the pectoralis minor muscle, medial aspect of coracoid process, and another muscle is the latissimus dorsi, which is present along the inferior angle of the scapula. Okay, so that's how we can easily remember all the attachments of all the muscle attachments of the scapula. You can just take a screenshot of this screen so that it becomes easy to revise during exams. Okay, so these are all the muscle attachments of the scapula. Then ligaments of the scapula we can remember with the help of this coracoid process. With the help of coracoid process, we can remember three ligaments. One is the coracoclavicular ligament, from the coracoid process to the clavicle. Then from the coracoid process to the acromion process, coracoacromial ligament. Then from the base of the coracoid process to the humerus, coracohumeral ligament. So remembering the coracoid process, we can remember three ligaments of the scapula: coracoclavicular ligament, coracoacromial ligament, and coracohumeral ligament. And there is one more ligament here which bridges the gap of this suprascapular notch. The ligament here is transverse scapular ligament, also called as suprascapular ligament. Okay, so these are the various ligaments of the scapula. And joints formed by the scapula are: the glenoid cavity articulates with the head of the humerus to form the shoulder joint, which is a ball and socket variety of synovial joint. And the acromion process, it articulates with the lateral end of the clavicle to form a joint which is the plane variety of synovial joint. Okay, so two joints formed by the scapula are the shoulder joint, which is the ball and socket variety of synovial joint, and the acromioclavicular joint, which is a plane variety of synovial joint. Okay, so we have covered the muscle attachments, ligaments attached onto the scapula, and the joints formed by the scapula. Okay, let's move on to the applied anatomy of the scapula. There's an applied anatomy is referred to as binging of the scapula. This occurs whenever there is paralysis of the muscle which is serratus anterior. Serratus anterior, the muscle which is attached along the medial border of the scapula, costal aspect. If this muscle gets paralyzed, then it leads to a clinical condition which is referred to as winging of the scapula. So for this, we should know that what is the root value of the nerve which is supplying serratus anterior. It is C5, C6, C7. It is also called as nerve of Bell. Okay. It has got one more name. The name is long thoracic nerve. Okay. So three names for the same nerve: long thoracic nerve, nerve of Bell, nerve to serratus anterior. Action of serratus anterior is pushing movements. Pushing or the protraction movements of the scapula are done by serratus anterior, and when this gets paralyzed, the rhomboids minor and major, they pull the scapula backwards, and that's how the medial border of the scapula becomes prominent, and the clinical condition is referred to as binging of the scapula. Okay. So whenever asked what is binging of scapula, it is a clinical condition in which the serratus anterior muscle gets paralyzed and the medial border of the scapula becomes prominent. Okay. Then there is Sprengel's deformity. It is a congenital deformity of the scapula. It is a high-lying scapula. Scapula usually develops in the cervical region and it descends towards the back. But in this deformity, the scapula fails to descend and it is present near the cervical region. Okay. This clinical condition is referred to as Sprengel's deformity. Okay. And there is one clinical aspect which is referred to as triangle of auscultation. When we see the back posterior aspect of the scapula, it forms a triangular region. Supposing this is the scapula viewed from the posterior aspect, there is the spine of the scapula, glenoid cavity. Along the medial border of the scapula, there is a triangle here. This triangle is referred to as triangle of auscultation. This is the region where there are no muscles which are there, and when we keep a stethoscope in this region, we can easily hear the lung sounds. Okay. One of the boundary of the triangle of auscultation is scapula. The medial border forms one boundary. One boundary is formed by trapezius muscle and another boundary is formed by latissimus dorsi muscle. Okay. So there is one clinical entity called as triangle of auscultation along the medial border of the scapula. Okay. So this was all about the applied anatomy related to the scapula. Let's summarize what we have covered in this session. First, we covered which type of bone is scapula. Scapula is an example of a flat bone. Site determination we covered in 3 dimensions: superior, inferior, anterior, posterior, medial, lateral. Always site determination has to be done in 3 dimensions. For scapula, we can say that the glenoid cavity is facing laterally. The coracoid process is on the superior aspect, as well as it is facing on the anterior aspect. Okay. Then various parts of the scapula we learnt. Since it is triangular in shape, it has got 3 borders and 3 angles, then 2 surfaces, costal surface and the dorsal surface. The dorsal surface being divided by the spine of the scapula into supraspinous fossa and infraspinous fossa. Then various processes of the scapula: the coracoid process, the acromion process, the spinous process. Okay. Then we learnt about the attachments of the scapula. We learnt how easily we can remember by formula of 2 the various muscle attachments, and the ligamentous attachments we can remember with the help of coracoid process. We can remember 3 ligaments: coracoacromial ligament, coracoclavicular ligament, then coracohumeral ligament. One more ligament was transverse scapular ligament. Then joints formed by the scapula: the ball and socket variety of synovial joint, that is the shoulder joint. Then the acromioclavicular joint, which is a plain variety of synovial joint. Okay. Then in applied anatomy, we covered 3 things. One was the winging of the scapula, then Sprengel's deformity, and triangle of auscultation. Okay. These 3 things we covered in the applied anatomy related to the scapula. Okay. So this was all about the scapula. In the subsequent session, I'll be covering the bone which is humerus. Okay. So if you all have any doubts, then you all can get back to me. Okay. Thank you.